Rose, if I'm not.
The last name is Rose, yeah. Good morning. I hope you're all well and in good spirits.
Thank you.
And I'd like to welcome the new Shatera team, is it? Did I pronounce that correctly? Shatera? I guess if you're Irish, you've got to be careful how you say it. Anyway, I'm fortunate enough to live in the Cordova Bay area. I'd like to focus today on the number one concern that we have here in Canada, and that is debt. It's brought the US and many European countries to their knees. Following on from debt, I'd also like to offer a possible solution that most taxpayers will find attractive, but it may not be too palatable to the people in the room. The sewage plant is funded by one thing: debt, and lots of it. As of this year, the regional debt will have ballooned to $400 million. As of 2017, it will have trebled to $1.2 billion because of what we're doing here. That's food for thought. The debt's funded by the collateral in your homes. The CRD has no other collateral. Properties are effectively being mortgaged to the tune of $12,000 each just to fund this project. The borrowing amounts to over $500 million by 2017 for this project, according to your budget. That's $500 million. It's not free. The annual interest alone could be $30 million a year. We therefore need to challenge the validity and the morality of this budget. It's an affront to taxpayers who struggle to live within the means, and a shocking example to the younger generation of how not to conduct your finances. How many times have you said to your kids, "We can't afford it"? It's not rocket science. A balanced budget means you spend what you take in. But things seem to work a little differently here at the CRD. If there's a shortage of a few $100 million, then the solution is just to borrow the money and sink deeper into debt. We just add a line which says debt, and suddenly, hey presto, it's a balanced budget. Well, there's a price to pay for that kind of accounting, and we've seen globally that it just doesn't work. How can it even be called a budget when it's funded with debt? I should remind you that there's a BC Charter which limits the amount that can be borrowed, and for good reason with today's spendthrift politicians. The board, which consists of mayors and councillors, will all be familiar with these restrictions. They use them in their own municipalities. So why not here? Why are we not restricted by the BC Charter, which is a legal document? Have the CRD exceeded the boundaries of the Charter? Are they in fact in breach of the law? I'm sure the chairman will be happy to answer that question later in the meeting. To coin a US phrase, what is the debt ceiling, Madam Chair? Does it just keep increasing ad infinitum? Or is there a point when we say enough is enough? Debt was a crime within living memory, and who knows, it may still be on the statutes. What's the interest rate for all the loans? And who are we borrowing that money from? Are there any answers to these questions? I don't see these in the financial statements. The public should know this. Let me propose to you, if there was an alternative 5-year plan where we had no debt, no tax increases, and one where we would get a new bridge, a new sewage plant, new infrastructure, and pay down the existing $400 million debt, would any of you endorse that? I hope you would. There is a simple solution. The solution is to get rid of the CRD. That would save us $100 million a year. In 2014, we could fund the Blue Bridge. In 2015, we could build a packaged sewage plant and pay off some debt. In 2016, we could pay off more debt. And in 2017, if the first plant worked, we could build a second plant. And if not, replace aging infrastructure, which is also hundreds of millions in arrears. So I say, well, by eliminating one level of government, we could generate those savings of $100 million a year. And I ask the board, in your alter egos as municipal politicians, to consider doing just that and to take on the responsibilities of the CRD within your own municipalities. And maybe then we can stop the scourge of rising debt.